there is no gatekeeper of the truth. We are our own editors, and we are our own publishers, and we are our own printers, and thereby people can sort of bastardize the truth in any way, shape, or form that they want, and spread that around the world.
We've been conditioned societally to look at the value of a woman being tied to her fertility. Like, what would an older woman have to offer? I asked if it was true. And he admitted it right away. And I think my response was, "Are you kidding me?" That was it. And I think I felt like I could barely take a breath. I really know that there are parts of what occurred with this relationship ending that were a level of devastating for me that wasn't really just about that relationship. It was really about my whole life. It was about being the 2-year-old who wasn't safe, that this really represented that I'm not lovable, that I'm not deserving. And that's not about him. That's all just about me.
Demi Moore just dropped some serious tea about Ashton Kutcher, and it's not just surprising, it's pretty heartbreaking. For a long time, their relationship looked like a Hollywood dream, but the truth was way darker than anyone thought.
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Brittany Murphy. And I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy. You understand? We were going to Nets game, so we picked him up, and he was explaining to Diddy that every time he goes to Brittany's house, paparazzi always catches him or almost catch him coming out her apartment or coming out the building. Diddy was telling him that's either the doorman or your security, you know what I'm saying? And he was still married to Demi Moore at the time. So you could have something, you could be right, because it's crazy how they said her and Kim and some other individual with them or around them all of pneumonia, and they were in perfect health.
Demi was already a big deal in Hollywood when she met Ashton. They seemed like the perfect couple, blending their families and handling their high-profile lives under the watchful eye of the public. But now, after their messy breakup, Demi is spilling some serious secrets that have everyone shocked. She's revealing the truth behind their picture-perfect life, and it's all about betrayal, manipulation, and some really tough realities.
Everything's fine
bring it
now?
on.
Everyth's okay now?
Oh, I'm great. Yeah. And no, he's not a part of my life anymore.
No, that's right.
Great. Yeah.
He's involved with Demi Moore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Seems all right, I guess.
Good going
right?
for him.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I learned a lot in the past year, which is to not really speak about relationships on TV again or anything like that. And I suppose, like the crux of their relationship basically means, to him that age doesn't matter and to her that size doesn't matter.
Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher's love story kicked off back in 2003 at a chill dinner party thrown by some friends. It was one of those moments that felt like it was pulled straight from a rom-com, two stars from totally different Hollywood eras hitting it off right away. Demi, in her early 40s, was already a big deal, having ruled the 90s with hits like Ghosts and Indecent Proposal. Ashton, on the flip side, was a rising star in his mid-20s, winning hearts with his comedic chops on that 70s show. Despite their age difference, the chemistry was electric. The 15-year age gap between them became tabloid fodder. The media had a field day, dubbing Demi a cougar and Ashton her boy toy. It was pretty rare to see a younger guy in such a high-profile relationship with an older woman, and they became the poster couple for challenging those outdated age and gender stereotypes. Demi's confidence and Ashton's laid-back vibe made them seem like an unstoppable duo, and their public outings showed just how in love they were. In 2005, they got hitched in a fancy yet cozy ceremony that mixed traditional and modern vibes. Their wedding was packed with Hollywood A-listers and Demi's 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, from her previous marriage to Bruce Willis. Ashton didn't just marry Demi, he jumped right into being a stepdad, often spotted having fun with the girls, which painted the picture of a perfect blended family. From the outside, their life looked like a modern fairy tale. They shared their joy with the world through red carpet events, charity work, and even their social media presence, which was just starting to take off. But as Demi later shared in her memoir, Inside Out, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. Behind the smiles and glamorous photos, Demi and Ashton faced a heartbreaking tragedy that would change everything. After they started trying for a baby, Demi got pregnant, which felt like a beautiful symbol of their love. But at 6 months, she suffered a devastating miscarriage. Losing their baby girl, whom they planned to name Chaplain Ray, was a crushing blow. For Demi, the loss turned her into guilt, grief, and self-blame. She felt like she had let everyone down, and those feelings were hard to shake. To cope with this, she turned to alcohol and painkillers, which only made things worse. What once felt like a fairy tale was turning into a nightmare, and Demi felt trapped in her own sadness. Meanwhile, Ashton's career was taking off. He was becoming one of Hollywood's hottest stars, landing big roles in romantic comedies, and eventually stepping in for Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men. But as Ashton's career soared, the emotional distance between them grew. Instead of being the support Demi needed, Ashton's actions often made things harder for her. In her memoir, Demi opened up about how her struggle with grief put a strain on their marriage. She felt more and more alone and misunderstood, while Ashton seemed more focused on his public image than on their crumbling relationship. While Demi was fighting her personal battles, Ashton was riding high in his career, and his behavior would soon push their relationship to the edge.
You got Ashton Kutcher in love with Mila Kunis on that 70s show. Then they break up for absolutely no reason after he starts hanging out with Diddy. Then he marries Demi Moore, who drained him of all the adrenochrome she can, and apparently he replenished himself by doing inappropriate things with their daughters.
Ashton Kutcher was really hitting his stride in the mid-2000s. His time on Punk'd showed off his charm and comedic chops, making him one of the hottest actors in Hollywood, especially in rom-coms like Just Married and No Strings Attached. Meanwhile, Demi Moore was taking a step back, focusing more on her family and her own healing after some tough times they'd been through together. Demi, who used to be one of the highest paid actresses around, wasn't chasing after roles like she used to. Instead, she was spending quality time with her daughters and working on herself emotionally. While she was all about family and recovery, Ashton was busy with work, traveling a lot, and putting in long hours on set, which created some distance between them. What used to feel like a partnership started to feel more like two people living separate lives. Things got tense in 2009 when Ashton was filming the rom-com Spread. The movie, where he played a womanizer, seemed to stir up some issues in their relationship. Demi hinted in her memoir that she was starting to feel uneasy and suspected Ashton wasn't being completely honest with her. She felt like something was off, and that was when the cracks in their marriage started to show. Even though Ashton was putting on a show as the devoted husband, Demi couldn't shake the feeling that they were drifting apart. Whenever she tried to talk about her insecurities, Ashton's laid-back attitude didn't help. He seemed more focused on keeping up his image as Hollywood's fun-loving guy than dealing with the growing emotional gap between them. But nothing could prepare Demi for the ultimate betrayal that would shake her world. In 2010, rumors started swirling about Ashton cheating. A 21-year-old named Brittany Jones claimed she had an affair with him right in the home he shared with Demi. The news hit hard, leaving Demi feeling humiliated. For everyone else, it was just a scandal. For her, it was a personal betrayal. The details were brutal. Brittany said Ashton was flirty and bold, completely ignoring the fact that he was married to Demi. The thought of her husband disrespecting their home made the betrayal sting even more. The media went wild, dissecting every part of their relationship and even pointing out their age difference as if it was Demi's fault. What hurt Demi even more was Ashton's reaction. He didn't deny the allegations outright, but tried to justify his actions by saying their marriage had blurred boundaries. Demi had mentioned in her memoir that they had once tried to spice things up by bringing in a third party, but instead of strengthening their bond, it seemed to give Ashton a reason to cross the line even further. The public humiliation was non-stop. Demi became the target of tabloid gossip with every little thing she did under a microscope. The betrayal was not just personal, it was public, leaving her feeling worthless and ashamed. She started questioning everything about their relationship, from her trust in Ashton to her own identity. And just when things couldn't get any crazier, Demi's revelations also brought up a surprising connection to Brittany Murphy that no one saw coming.
The night Brittany died, she passed out twice.
Eventually, I got to the point where she had told her mother, Sharon, "Mommy, I'm dying. I'm going to die."
To me, that is alarming that a mother would ignore those requests for help, those cries for help from her own daughter.
Brittany Murphy's tragic end in 2009 sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Known for her vibrant roles in Clueless and 8 Mile, Brittany was beloved for her charm and talent, but her passing at just 32 years old, officially attributed to pneumonia and severe anemia, left fans with different questions. Adding to the tragedy were parallels between Brittany's struggles and the themes Demi later touched on in her memoir. So Demi didn't say Ashton was to blame for Brittany's struggles, but she definitely dropped some hints about his behavior when they were on that 70s show. Ashton and Brittany had a quick fling while filming the show, and Demi's comments suggested that Ashton had a habit of being pretty dismissive and emotionally unavailable in his relationships. Fans have speculated that Brittany, who's known to be really sensitive, might have felt the impact of Ashton's laid-back attitude, which Demi also dealt with during their marriage. Brittany's tragic situation hit Demi hard, especially since she was already dealing with her own emotional battles. It seemed like Demi recognized that women in Hollywood often face harsh judgment, and Brittany's story just added to the heartbreak, highlighting the tough pressures and betrayals they go through. Meanwhile, Ashton moved on with Mila Kunis, leaving Demi to pick up the pieces. But her story doesn't just end in sadness. After her divorce from Ashton, Demi went through a rough patch. She struggled with substance abuse and had a tough time with alcohol and painkillers. Her public breakdowns made headlines, which only added to her feelings of inadequacy. She later admitted she felt like she had failed as a wife, a mom, and just as a person. The distance from her daughters made things even harder. Demi's struggles created a gap in their once close bond, and Ashton leaving only deepened that loss. What used to be a loving, blended family turned into a painful situation, leaving Demi to face her struggles alone. But Demi wasn't about to let her story end in heartbreak. In 2019, she dropped her memoir, Inside Out, taking back her narrative and owning up to her mistakes. She got real about everything, from her childhood trauma and addiction battles to the ups and downs of her career and relationships. By sharing her truth, Demi not only found a way to heal, but also inspired a ton of readers who saw their own struggles in her story. A person commented saying, "It's heartbreaking to hear about what Demi went through. Ashton always came across as the fun-loving guy, but this really shows how much someone can hide behind their public persona." Another one added, "Demi's story resonates with so many people who faced betrayal and grief. It's empowering to see her inspire others through her memoir." What do you guys think about Demi's revelations? Were there signs we all missed? Let's discuss in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more celebrity videos.